did not go as I had hoped. Never tried this cucumber combo before, but I used to make cucumber sandwiches, and if you're an OG viewer,
not even OG, I make them quite frequently.
For those, I combine cream cheese and mayo to make the spread, but I feel like cottage cheese is pretty interchangeable with that stuff. Very good. Bring these into the office tomorrow, but first I wanted to go through and do an inventory check and put some labels on for the sizing to make it easier for my assistant to pack. You can see the sizing here, but just in case it's harder to look for, I have these and I'll stick it to the outside of the bag so we're not searching too hard. For the cream sets, this will be packed using our custom pink tissue paper. Right there. Then our new seal sticker.
Beautiful, adorable.
I've been trying to take more, like, I don't know what to call them, inspo pics or photos that are not necessarily of the products but evoke the same feeling, the same vibe that I can use in more photo dumps for the shop. I've been looking at a lot of brands' Instagram pages. One thing I've realized, a lot of really successful brands, they sell more than just their brand. They're selling a lifestyle. That's something that I've always tried to do with On Studio. I don't want it to be YouTube merch. I don't want it to be just a stationary brand. I want it to be something that people think of integrating throughout their entire life. Naming my rewards program the Bagel Club was an intentional thing. Giving your community a name makes outsiders want to join in. Everyone wants to feel a part of something. In summary, I want this entire brand to be a Pinterest board. If you're thinking cute, cozy, you think On Studio. In line with that, not only establishing your own aesthetic and branding, but building it out on your own website is a huge key in establishing your brand's identity. When you have your own website, you need a custom domain to bring your entire brand together. You're probably familiar with .coms, .nets. These are very general and broad. You see tons of websites use these domains. So when you're running an online store, those domains are not going to stand out. That's why I want to recommend to you building your website using a .store domain. It's the perfect domain to sell anything online, and it actually helps you sell more. Let me break it down for you. Websites that use a .store domain actually get 87% more traffic and 2 times more visibility on Google. When you see a .store domain, it tells your audience that you are selling something. With a .com or a .net, generic domain labels don't tell you anything, but a .store domain tells you exactly what the site is before you're even clicking on it. When you're typing into your search engine to shop for a specific item, people are more inclined to click something with a .store domain because they know you're selling something here. That's why over 1.5 million sellers use a .store domain, including some of the biggest brands in the world. And here's another bonus. When you get a .store domain, you unlock access to the plus version of elevate.store. And this isn't just another discount site, it's actually a curated toolkit. They have everything from marketing tools to e-commerce software, anything an online seller may need in one place. And it's yours for free if you use a .store domain. So I mean, like, just why not? For a limited period of time, you can get a .store domain for just 99 cents using my code Annika, but it has to be with the link in my description box. You could also buy a .store domain on a website like GoDaddy or anywhere that sells domains, but the coupon code will only work for the link in my description. So again, be sure to use the discount code Annika, and it only works for the link in my description, so check that out. Hello?
Yeah, but that was dangerously high. I know. Okay. That was getting here today.
for summer.
I think it's good. What happened here? I have some cashews that I think will give a really nice crunch. While those bake, I wanted to do a little sit down chat with you. I had wanted to do a chit chat about my whole pajama making process and reflecting on the last 1 to 2 years that I've been working on it, because there has been a story. But it's also been a few days since my official pajama launch and things did not go as I had hoped. So get cozy, we're going to get into it. Off the bat, I think there was a lot of confusion and disappointment when my pajamas were live. And I think a lot of that comes from not giving you guys the full story. I wanted to clear some things up for you and address the main concerns people had. The first thing was the pricing of the pajamas. Off the bat, I knew these were not going to be cheap pajamas. By nature, that is how small businesses work. And I think by now, a lot of people have a good understanding of that after watching my channel and watching how I've run this small business by myself for pretty much the entirety of its life. Doing things on your own when you are the only one funding it means that oftentimes I'm ordering things in smaller amounts than, say, a bigger, more established company. And this is where we get into MOQs. When you're ordering from manufacturers, there is an MOQ. If you order a larger amount, then the price of the unit is decreased. You basically get a discount for ordering more. A lot of small businesses order in smaller quantities because of budget, or if we want to test the waters, see how our audience reacts to a certain product. Thus, the price of one unit is that much greater than a larger company who has funds, who has investors, can afford to order thousands of the same item. Because this was my first apparel project, I wanted to keep the order amount limited while I was testing it out, seeing how it goes. There is a larger risk for small businesses when we're venturing into new products like this. So not only is there that factor, but from the start, I made it clear that I wanted these products to be manufactured in LA, which is quite expensive. I did so because ethical labor is something that's really important to me, and paying workers not just minimum wage but an actual living wage is something that I wanted to ensure that my production and manufacturing process would cover. Especially in the apparel industry, there is a lot of exploitation, child labor, and I didn't want my brand to be something that perpetuated those things. Of course, I didn't have to get it manufactured in LA, which is probably one of the most expensive places to do so, but being an LA resident, I tried to be as involved in my community as I can be, and I also wanted to be as involved in this apparel process as I could be, because this is something new. I wanted to be present for as much of the process as I could be, not only to learn, but to better understand the industry, because I do not have a background in apparel, in fashion, in business even. Everything I know is from what I learn and what I experience. The second thing that a lot of people had discussed was the material. Now, I feel like if you watched the previous pajama vlog, when I first started this journey, you may have a better understanding of why I made the choices that I did. Initially, when I designed these pajamas, I wanted it to be silk. And when I gave a preview of that in the previous vlog, a lot of people had concerns about that material. Not only is silk super expensive, it's not the easiest to care for as well. When I was making the care labels, I would probably have had to put dry clean only on them. You can get away with hand washing or washing silks in different ways, but dry cleaning is probably the safest, and that's what you want to put on the care label just to protect yourself in case someone buys those and they don't wash it that way and it gets ruined, you know? But a lot of people had concerns that if they were paying so much for a product that was made of silk and they could only dry clean it, you know, especially for pajamas, that is not something that they were interested in, which I completely understand. I'm a messy gal. Dry cleaning would be definitely a hassle. And also what I didn't know at the time of first making those silk pajamas was that silk is not as sustainable as I had thought. In the process of getting silk from silkworms, a lot of people had issues with that as well. So at the time that I posted that vlog, I was actually finished with the design process. I was ready to begin production. Actually, before that video, I had even had a little photo shoot here in my apartment. I hired a photographer, but then I decided, no, let me push back the production date, take more time to sample new fabrics, looking for ones that had a lower price point, that were easier to care for. That is very hard to find. I tried a few silk blends. I tried a cotton blend even. Thought, you know, having a smaller percentage of silk would help decrease the cost. It really did not move the mark that much, and I was really shocked by that. A comment I got a lot about the price is that, girl, in this economy, you're charging that much for these pajamas. And this is something that I learned only by making the apparel myself and going through this entire process, that this economy is what has made not only the cost of the fair labor, but the cost of the materials themselves a lot more expensive than one would think. And then again, it goes back to the whole MOQ thing. You know, if I was a larger company, I could afford to purchase larger quantities of materials, then it would be for a lower price, but that was not the case for me. So my manufacturer company came to me with a sample of polyester, and at first I was very on the fence about this. However, it was the cheapest fabric that I could get my hands on that had a similar look and feel to the original design. But everyone knows that polyester is not, you know, the most eco-friendly material, but they presented me with what was actually dead stock fabric. And what dead stock fabric is it's basically the leftover fabric from other clothing brands or textile mills that would otherwise be discarded. Since I was trying to find a cheaper material and one that was easier to care for, this seemed like it could potentially be a better option. But that is the choice that I made to go with, because I was like, you know, it can fit sustainable. I also do want to say that, you know, sustainability is such a spectrum, and it's so hard to be 100%. I mean, it's impossible to be 100% sustainable anymore. But you know, some of these choices, like I'm trying my best out here. After searching a lot, I decided to go with a polyester, and a lot of people were disappointed with that choice. Having it be 100% polyester for the price point it was being sold at did not align with a lot of people, and I totally get that. I really tried to find some type of middle ground, and it was just really difficult. So transparently, guys, for these pajamas, the total cost to make one set, not just, you know, the labor and the materials together, all of that, it was $135 per set. So when I marked it at $150, that was only a $15 markup, which is not great, but for a small business, there's not a high profit margin, especially when you're just starting out on these things. That was the lowest price I was able to get it to at the time. Then let alone the packaging materials and the handling, like, you know, having my assistant pack them, I have to pay her too. I knew this project, it was more of a passion project than anything. I knew it was not going to be like super profitable or anything. I know by the price, it probably doesn't seem like that, and I feel like a lot of people thought I just marked up like crazy. I really did not. To me, that's not beneficial. You know, you want more people to be able to afford the product and actually purchase it. And the third thing that people had concerns with was the size range. For these pajamas, it started out as XS to XL, so I had 5 sizes. And I recognize that that is not inclusive of all body types, of course. I know I have diverse audience who come in many shapes and sizes, but this was more of a test run, you know, a trial run, seeing how the audience reception would be before I invested even more money creating more sizes of this. And seeing how the feedback was for this, I think that may have actually been a good choice. When I went to Seattle and had the second photo shoot with the new pajamas, I had actually hired a plus size model, and this is something I want to clarify. I did post something on my community tab about this, and a lot of people told me that XL is not actually a plus size. I did not mean to say that or misuse that term, and I apologize if that caused any confusion. The model that I hired who fit the XL size, she labels herself as a plus size model. The modeling agency that I hired her from labeled her as plus size. So that's where I had the confusion. So yes, that I think covered majority of the feedback that I received from it. I had actually wanted to talk about the whole process and the whole journey even before I received the feedback that I did, because this was truly the learning experience that I guess I needed. It could have been a little less painful than it was, but I sure learned. So the manufacturer company that I used to do the pre-production, the design, create patterns with, sample fabrics, all of that, I had actually worked with before to manufacture my scrunchies back when I used to sell scrunchies on my shop. They're based in LA, and so I had trust and a history with them. They are mainly an apparel company, and they have some big clients, like brand names that both you and I have heard of. So, you know, I thought this seems like a very reputable company, and they care a lot about the safety of the workers, their ethics. They helped me to source all the fabric locally. The first part of the design process went pretty smoothly, nothing out of what I expected. But then at some point down the line, things really turned sour. The communication with that company was really awful. And what I mean by that is, like, I had to constantly be emailing, be texting them to get updates. Things would be delayed out of nowhere, and I would receive no explanation as to why. They would just say there were mistakes or things took longer than expected. And I was like, you know, maybe this is how the apparel industry works. I don't know anything about it. I think that was clear to them probably. And I didn't feel like I was being taken seriously. A lot of it could be because I'm a small business and because I'm not ordering large quantities, and that they would prioritize these larger companies who are ordering a lot more from them and therefore, you know, investing more, giving them more money. And I had a feeling that my project was being pushed to the back end, basically. I confronted them about this several times, and they were like,
no, that's not true, like, it's just taking a little longer.
It's hard because I was custom dyeing the fabric, the colors were custom, and they're like, oh, you know, the piping, the details, the embroidery, like all of this, there could be mistakes, and very understanding with it because I don't know any better. It was really, really tough. I was losing my freaking mind, y'all. To the point where, like, I had wanted to just wrap up the whole production thing and cut ties with this company. I was waiting for the day that they would just give me my patterns that we had worked on and I could find some other company to produce it. They may have had an idea that's what I wanted to do because they were like not giving me those patterns. They were saying, oh, we'll get it to you, we'll get it to you. And to this day, I literally do not have them. So I had invested a lot of time and money, and I was like, you know, I'll just see it through till the end. It's fine, girl who's gonna be fine. It may have shaved several years off my life, but that's okay. It's fine, everything is a learning process. Now I know if I feel like I'm being taken advantage of, I probably am, and I should just cut my losses early. The amount of samples we went through, the amount of mistakes there were, I was just over it at that point. Even when the final production came.
What is this?
This is the pink that it finally came out to. Like, and you know, a nice blush pink. That was not the first pink they gave me. What is this peach color? Like, I know I'm not crazy. You see the difference, right? So, yeah, it was, yes. At the end of 2024/beginning of 2025, I actually started looking for a new production company, and I was honestly just ready to cut the project there because I couldn't work with these people anymore. Come to later find out that my original point of contact in that company had no longer worked there anymore, and she had left. I think there may have been some new people, and I wasn't informed about this at all. Transparency, communication, not great. Like, the bar was on the floor. And so I started looking for other production companies that I could work with and just do do production from them. I was not able to get the patterns ever from that original company, so I actually had to start the whole process over again and start from scratch, start from making samples. But I found a new manufacturing company, and this one I have a lot more confidence in. And I guess, you know, like anything in life, once your trust is broken, it's hard to trust again. But I'm being a lot smarter about this time. I've learned from those mistakes, and I'm not taking as big a financial risk. And I told them up front about this horror story, and I was like, if you guys can't do regular meetings with me, if you're not communicating with me, like, I need to know it's not gonna work out if those needs can't be met. But I already feel more comfortable working with this new manufacturer. It's a women-run business. I actually have an appointment to go in tomorrow and see some samples and sample fabrics. And I actually did bring it up with them. I was like, if possible, like, I really want to source a fabric that is not poly, because my audience they were not into that. Please, let's see if we can find something that would be a better fit. And I've actually already started working on other sets too. Like, I am working on a cotton set. So that is a material that's more breathable, that's more environmentally friendly. So we've been working on different designs and talking this out and trying to fit within a certain budget. And I'm really trying to be patient with this and take my time so I don't make the same mistakes that I was stuck with in the first place. Even before the pajama launch, I wanted to talk about this story because as a small business, this is not something that I think a lot of people are aware of, the full behind the scenes stuff. And I try keeping things as transparent as I possibly can on this channel because it's like my diary. I'm learning everything as I go, and you're seeing me grow in real time. You know, that's why I've said in the past, when people are first starting out their small business, my biggest advice is just to try everything and just do as much as you possibly can, gain as much experience while you are small, because I think a little bit of maybe consequence is not the right word, but because I have a larger audience and have a certain expectation from me. And so when this pajama launch did not go how they were expecting it to, a lot of people felt disappointed. And like, again, I totally get it. You know, with having a larger audience, a lot more eyes are on you, and so you're susceptible to more feedback. And I think pretty good separating, you know, the feedback and criticism from being like anything about me and my character, but I don't take any offense to things that people say. And that way I see it as ways to learn, like, you know, because I don't have a huge team or anything. Like, you guys are helping me through this whole process. And so I hope hearing all of this makes you excited. Sorry, there was a fly. Makes you excited for what is to come, because it's only up from here. So yeah, I'm optimistic still.
Something that kind of was brought up when we were sourcing.
I found something that was in the middle. This one was 75.
There's definitely room, like if you like this, we can go up to like 10% or like 5%.
been watching my videos for a while, you know I've been obsessed with this salad that I get from a local restaurant. The obsession runs deep. A big part of the reason I love it so much is because of the salad dressing they use.